The saga continues. That's right. Yesterday, I put out a video about Danny Sheehan revealing the real reason Luis Elizondo, a week prior, had released a statement about being threatened, right? His family as well. And Danny revealed the reason why Luis Elizondo released that statement. And it turns out that a UFO program official, right, someone who worked on the UFO reverse engineering program, was found not alive. And the circumstances surrounding their unaliveness was mysterious, at least unresolved, right? Now, they're saying that that situation has been resolved and there's nothing to worry about, but they were taking precautions, right? So Luis Elizondo released a statement just in case, right? Because that person, that UFO program official, was potentially going to come public with information they had, right? Anyway, I did a whole video about it yesterday, right? So go check out that video. Links in the description. You can hear from Danny. You know, it's a good 30-minute video. Get the whole story. Well, after that, essentially, yesterday evening, Danny releases another statement on Twitter. We're going to take a look at that statement. But also, more importantly, is that Dr. Garry Nolan went on a podcast and revealed yesterday that he also has been threatened. So we're going to hear from Dr. Garry Nolan what exactly happened and kind of talk about what is happening overall. These threats coming out of, I don't want to say nowhere, but kind of taking the front seat of this conversation right now all of a sudden. Why is that? Let's find out. Let's talk about it. All right. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at a clip from Dr. Garry Nolan on that UFO podcast talking about his threat. We're going to take a look at Danny Sheehan's statement that he released last night. And then we're also going to take a look at some comments from yesterday's video of Vetted. Again, link in the description if you want to learn more about that. I do have one correction to make about yesterday's video, so I'll talk about it at the end of the video. All right, let's dive in, y'all. If you're new to the channel and you like content like this, please hit that subscribe button. I put out a new video every day, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do not miss a day, y'all. And please hit that like button, Vetters. That really helps out the videos. So thank y'all so much for the support there. And of course, comment down below. What do you think of this new revelation in the in this story? Right? We'll just call it the threat narrative at this point, right? That's happening right now. Is it something to be fearful? Who should be fearful? Is it all made up? Let's find out. All right. First thing we're going to do, take a look at Dr. Garry Nolan talking about his experience, right? On that UFO podcast, which, by the way, if you're not already, I'm going to do it right now. Hit the subscribe button for that UFO podcast and like the video. Watch this. Boom. Bada bing. And then what you want to do is hit all on the subscribe tier. Anyway, all right, let's watch this video.
Folks, and I want to ask Garry, in the last 12 months, I think it's very fair to say that your colleague, I don't know if he's a friend yet, whistleblower David Grush, came forward and has probably had the single biggest impact in the world in terms of UFO UAP. And I say that as someone based in the UK. That made headlines over here. That made our news, which is a very difficult thing for any UFO conversation to do. And recently, another friend of yours, colleague Lou Elizondo, in a statement said he was aware of threats made against himself, his family, and other whistleblowers. I'd love your take on that and how you see that playing out. And do you think this could put a stop to other whistleblowers coming forward?
It certainly casts a pall. I mean, I know the specific incident that Lou is discussing, and it was real, and it's real, and it's ongoing. You know, that information might go public. It's not my place to say it, but it's pretty serious. I mean, look, I got a phone call myself at one point, basically telling me to be careful how I was talking about things. And won't go into the specifics of what was said and all the rest, but it shook me. It was a call from somebody in the government or representing what was being said in certain circles, and it was a threat, and that was the first time I ever felt, okay, this is getting personal. It wasn't a threat by them. It was telling me that the way I was talking about things, I needed to be careful because there are others who will. Knowing, again, what Dave and Lou have been going through, it's like what I said at the SALT conference. It's not, I was asked, what is the best evidence? Absent, a UFO landing on the White House lawn, is what your government is doing about it and the basically pretzels that they're twisting themselves into to not talk about it or dance around the subject. I mean, if there's nothing there, release the data. I mean, that's just a fact. If there's nothing there, release the data. Or why are you acting so guilty? One of the acts is threatening people. I mean, that's what David Grush filed his complaint about. He didn't file a complaint to say that there are UAP. That's not a whistleblower. That's not whistleblowing. Whistleblowing is about reporting an illegality. You cannot whistleblow just because you know something. You can only whistleblow if it's an illegality. And so that was what Dave was doing. Now, moving forward, people got very upset, let's say last year, and depressed because the NDAA didn't have the UAP Disclosure Act. Well, guess what? It's being rediscussed and it's being rewritten to address last year's problems. So I think, moving forward, just because the opposition won one battle doesn't mean that the war is over. And so those of us who are continuing to work on this and saying, okay, well, if you say there's nothing there, that's fine, but you haven't shown us the data, so why don't we write a law that says the data gets released? And if you still think there's nothing there, then why aren't you letting the data get released? So there's a lot of good arguments, and they're basically backed into a corner at this point. And so I'm quite positive about what the outcome is going to be. If not this year, if not next year, then the year after. But, we'll see. I'm happy with the movement that I'm seeing so far.
And that's good to hear.
So, great conversation. Okay. I'm going to link in the description as always. You can go check that out. And it's a great podcast as well, that UFO podcast. If you haven't checked that out already, please do that. All right, let's go to the statement from Daniel Sheehan. But first, let's talk about what Dr. Garry Nolan said real quick. He has also received a phone call, right? Essentially, if I'm understanding that correctly, and he's being told basically, we'll replace you with people who will keep in line about this, right? Who will say the right things we want them to, right? That's interesting, right? From someone in the government that has the power to do that, right? Like, if it is all bullshit, why do you care what they're talking about? Like, what is being said that's so, like, disturbing or it's going to hurt something, right? Does that make sense? The narrative from the government, like, people don't trust the government anyway, no matter what Dr. Garry Nolan says or doesn't say. People are going to think that we're storing UFOs and reverse it, regardless of what Dr. Garry Nolan says. Like, that's not going away. Those ideas, those thoughts. So I'm not sure. Maybe details. But again, yeah, I get where Dr. Garry Nolan is coming from, right? It gets personal, right? Like, whoa. Well, but let's be real. If they are covering up this huge world-changing reality thing, right? Like, yeah, you would expect more than a phone call, to be honest. So I don't know, right? You add that up with Luis Elizondo's statement. You add that up with the reason Danny Sheehan gave for Luis Elizondo putting out his statement, right? And Garry Nolan backing it up right here, right? Like, that's real. That happened. The details of this gentleman who is no longer with us, who worked on the UFO program, right, being found deceased, even though they said he did it to himself. How does that make it any better? Like, whew, okay. I mean, what? You know what I mean? That's still a problem, in my opinion. It's all a problem, So, I don't know. I guess part of the argument was, should they be talking about this publicly, bringing this up, this threat thing, Yeah, I think it is a way to help protect yourself. I don't see anything wrong. Better safe than sorry, right? If you're wrong, then no problem. But if you're right, you're glad you put that out, So, again, the reality is no one sitting at home or watching or listening has anything to worry about. Nobody's coming after the normal Joe looking into this, no matter how much great research you think you've done or whatever, or regardless of what you think the government's not coming after you. But someone like Dr. Garry Nolan, who's studying the phenomena, has claims to make. People who worked in these programs, it's quite different, okay? It's basically like, I'm wearing a Mavericks jersey, right? Shout out to the Dallas Mavs right now. It's my Doncic jersey. They're crushing it in the playoffs, so go Mavs. It'd be like if I was worried about if I was going to get cut from the Mavericks. I'm not on the Mavericks. They can't cut me. It's the same thing. People at home, we got nothing to worry about. Myself included, podcasters, we're nobodies. And we got nothing to worry about. But, again, people like Dr. Garry Nolan, Luis Elizondo, David Grutt, these are the people that are actually facing reprisals, So it's, better safe than sorry. I mean, that should just be the motto. But with that said, shouldn't just concentrate on that the whole time. So I think this conversation is going to move on right past this. Everyone take precautions. We're aware. And kind of everyone thought it was there already, right? It's not like people are surprised to hear these things. Like, in fact, I think some people would be surprised there's not more. Or maybe there is, we just don't know about it, right? I mean, and how do they know that investigation done into this person who is no longer with us was done good? And like, you know what I mean? Like within a week, the investigation's over. What are we talking about? Did they find out, did the police, because Danny Sheehan mentioned the police, and you got Danny Sheehan saying publicly he worked on the UFO reverse engineering program. Are the police, do they know that? Did they find that out? Is that something to be worried about? Like, does that make sense? Like, do they find his files? Does the UFO reverse engineering program go in and wipe it all clean? Are the police involved now? How does that work? You know, are the police going to hear about this if it becomes more public? That the UFO community knows about this story, right? Are we going to find a name and then people are going to start doing research and then blah, 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 blah? Is this, I don't know. How, you know, the police just immediately closed it and said, he did it to himself. That's a little suspicious unto itself. Are we ever going to find out this person's name? I don't know if we should anymore. I don't know. But look, regardless, again, these things just lead to more questions. Of course, we're going to have questions. This is what we do. We're curious human beings. And when serious things get said, serious questions get asked. It's that simple. Right? That's how it works. When something serious gets said, is happening, or has happened, you ask serious questions. It's pretty cut and dry, right? All right, so let's go to Danny Sheehan's statement that he released, which I shared on Vetted's Twitter account, by the way, when it came out. In light of the public profile of my client, Lou Elizondo, again, go link in the description if you haven't watched my video from yesterday about Daniel Sheehan talking about the reason that Luis Elizondo put out his statement about the threat, right? And then there's another video for that of Luis Elizondo's statement about the threat, right? Like basically the timeline is, let's do it this way. Luis Elizondo's threat statement gets released. Danny Sheehan comes out on a Twitter space, right, saying the reason that happened, and states that back when Luis Elizondo put out his statement is because a guy died right during that same time, right? So back to Danny Sheehan's statement, the very next day after he reveals the reason of the truth of Luis Elizondo releasing his statement, right, that person dying, he comes out and releases this statement the next day, and Garry Nolan's statements as well the next day, right? So we got 3 timeline points there. I don't even know what the point of that was. Anyway, let's just get back to this. Anyway, go check out the other videos. All right, here we go. In light of the public profile of my client, Luis Elizondo, and the fact that he has already endured multiple threats to him and his family, it was prudent to sensitize people to the fact that the person associated with the UFO back engineering program, who apparently committed unaliving, could be yet another retaliation against a potential whistleblower. It wasn't until law enforcement concluded its investigation that we learned that no foul play was involved. Always better to be safe than sorry. I said that in my video yesterday. And then it became part of Danny's statement. I think he saw the vetted video. So happy to do my part. I'm just kidding. I don't know. But I agree with that. Right? Better to be safe than sorry. My experience working historically in cases like Karen Silkwood has taught me that real threats do exist, and sometimes having greater public awareness is a way to defend against such egregious acts. Well said by Danny here. So again, I've shared that link in the description. You can go check that out. And, you know, right here, look, the UFO back engineering program, who apparently committed unaliving, could be yet another retaliation against a potential whistleblower. You know, man. I mean, yeah, that's serious. Right now we're talking loss of life. You know, forget speculating about alien underwater bases or whatever, right? Do we, you know, interdimensional and time traveling beings and what? Okay. Now we're talking about a human being here on Earth who did die. who potentially worked on this program. That's serious. All right. If that's true, and that happened, that is serious. That's as serious as it gets, in fact. How does it get more serious than that? Right? And if you're closely associated with that person or that program or that movement, yeah, I would be worried too. So I get it. But again, for those of you watching at home, other podcasters, creators, we have zero to worry about. I mean that. It's nothing. Talking about it isn't going to get anybody in trouble either. Again, I think that information will probably come out and we'll know a little bit more, which would help, right? Just some answers to this. But anyway, all right. Tell me in the comments what y'all think. Let's get to yesterday's video. Okay, I'm going to start doing this. I think I'm testing this out. At the end of every video, I'm going to put a 5-minute timer, and I'm going to look over the comments from the previous day's videos, right? And talk about anything, make any corrections I need to, address anything like that. Well, we'll just see how this works, right? I don't know. So anyway, let's give it a try here. This is from yesterday's video. All right. Again, link in the description. And let's just go over everything. Right. Let's try this out. How do I start this timer? Let me see. Oh, here we go. Okay. So this is a comment I pinned. So let's find the name of the putz who is suing Lou. By the way, Lou didn't buy a share. The guy suing him did, so he can claim to be a shareholder in the publisher. So this was a big contention in yesterday's comments of yesterday's video. And thank you. Everyone was so kind the way they revealed how wrong I was. They said it in such a respectful, honest, just really nice way yesterday in the comments. Just kidding. That's not what happened. There were a few of you, so thank you. That's why I pinned this one. But some people were mean as hell, y'all. Jesus. Don't make a mistake around some of these people because they will own you. Right? You are done for. Which is, anyway, it was crazy. So anyway, thank you for those of you who just pointed out something I misheard. And I did. I effed up. I misheard. And so, yeah, essentially, Luis Elizondo is being sued, and I just misheard that story. So, again, go check out that video yesterday. You do hear the recording, so you can hear what's happening. I just misheard it. So, it's not a huge part of the video. I mean, that's not what it's about, but it is also something to make sure we get right. So, essentially, Lou did not buy a share of this publishing agency. The person suing him did. Okay, that's what I got wrong. Okay, so go check out yesterday. You can hear it for yourself, and there's no confusion there. So anyway, thank you to this person for just putting it respectfully. Hey, by the way, this is what it was. Instead of, hey, you piece of F, Patrick, how dare you? Like, oh my God. See, and a lot of people put it. Lou didn't buy the share. The guy suing did. Right. So, yes. And more people. See, boom, boom. Danny's point was the only person. See, there you go. There you go. Patrick misunderstood. Yes. Hey, those are fair. If there was a drinking game based on Patrick saying right, someone would be obliterated. This guy put, or if I'm being honest, but I still like the guy. He's young and passionate, doesn't have a big company and staff behind him. So, yeah, he makes mistakes, but who would? Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks. Still like the guy. Okay. Thanks, Dylan. Bill says, LOL. And I don't know, and y'all, he'll polish up in time. Polish up in time. What am I? Genie in a bottle? I love it because I'm at a disadvantage, right? I don't get to hear these people speak and criticize them. Anyway, I don't care. Look, if you're worried about how many times I say a word, you're doing all the wrong critical thinking, in my opinion. But whatever, let's have some fun, right? I don't know. The more all this not improvable drama continues, the more I'm thinking it's all just bullshit. You speculate too much, Patrick. Wow, 12 people like that. Jesus. Yeah, we all do. What are you talking about? Everybody speculates. I haven't seen any evidence of a craft or a being. It's all speculation. I don't think you're understanding the stock buying issue. You are correct. First, who exactly allegedly unalived themselves? Yeah. Look, I also want to show you guys something real quick. This will help you understand this, Patrick. Okay, wow. You know what? I'm not going to. When you're trying to slam out a podcast every day, things become inaccurate at best. Wow. Thank you, Jamie. That's not kind of you to say. People have a way of saying things. Anyway, I learned that a lot of these comments, anyway, aren't for me. They're for y'all to sort of be who's got the clever comment and get the likes. Like, I get it. Right? It's like a community within a community. You're trying to get known sometimes. So whatever. The comments aren't for me, which is why I didn't respond to any of those. Did you notice that? I don't. But I want to show y'all something. These are comments that get held for review, and every day I review them. So there's certain words that are blocked, right? So I have some of these. So I'll see somebody put, oh, my comments got deleted. No, they didn't. They could have been held for review. I got to approve them. That's all that means. I don't allow links so that spammers can't come in, because a lot of spammers have tried to come in and put different links, pretending to be vetted. So that's all that happens. And then I have to go through and approve, and I approve most of them. But I just need to see them, because some of them I need to delete, right? So anyway, these are just from yesterday. There's more. I don't know why it's not scrolling down all the way. So that's just what happens. So just beware that sometimes your comments just that's all it is. They just get held up for a minute. So anyway, that was interesting. I might start doing that. I don't know yet. We'll see. This 5 minutes at the end to go over comments from the day before, make corrections. It could work. We'll see. I guess I'll have you guys tell me in the comments. I'm sure somebody will tell me in a poetic way how it's not a good idea. I don't know. Anyway, listen, can't do the stuff without y'all, right? Y'all are the reason I do this anyway. So definitely happy to get the feedback, happy to get the corrections. Just be nice about it. We're all in this together. Yeah, I'm going to make mistakes. You make mistakes too. Trust me. Okay? So let's just be cool about it. Just point it out, and I'm happy to acknowledge it. If I deny your comment or something, it's not because of what you said. It's probably how you said it to me. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Again, links in the description for everything. Go check it out. We'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. All right, y'all. Every day's a gift.